The mystery of Rome's fall. Imagine a civilization that ruled the known world for nearly 500 years, a force so powerful it shaped the very foundation of modern Western society. The Roman Empire, with its grandeur and military might, seemed invincible. Yet in the 5th century AD, it collapsed, seemingly overnight, leaving behind ruins, records of war, and endless debates about what went wrong. For centuries, historians have pointed to external factors: barbarian invasions, plagues, and military decline. But what if the real cause of Rome's downfall wasn't some foreign enemy or internal corruption, but something far more insidious? What if the ultimate culprit was economic mismanagement, the very same issue that we still face today in modern economies? What if, behind the grandeur of Rome's monuments, the empire was sinking into financial chaos long before its borders were breached? In this video, we'll uncover the shocking truth about how economic mismanagement silently drove the Roman Empire to ruin. We'll explore the complex financial systems, the key figures who failed to act in time, and how their decisions echo through history. This is the untold story of Rome's collapse, a tale of riches and ruin, of wealth squandered and systems broken. Setting the stage: Rome's early economic foundations. To understand the fall of the Roman Empire, we first need to travel back to its origins, to the very foundation of its economy. The Roman Empire began as a small city-state, Rome, located on the banks of the Tiber River. By the time of its founding, around 753 BC, it was just one of many settlements in a region filled with ancient cultures. But unlike its neighbors, Rome grew rapidly, expanding its borders through conquest, alliances, and the steady development of infrastructure. From the start, Rome's economy was built on the back of a relatively simple system: agriculture. Land was the primary source of wealth, and the Roman elite controlled vast estates worked by slaves. This system of land ownership, along with Rome's strategic location, gave the city-state a solid economic base. However, as Rome expanded into a republic and then into an empire, its economy began to grow in complexity. Rome's military conquests brought new territories, wealth, and resources. Gold from Spain, grain from Egypt, and exotic goods from the East filled the empire's coffers. Trade flourished, and the use of currency became widespread. But this seemingly prosperous system had cracks that would eventually tear it apart. The key flaw was that Rome's wealth was built on the labor of slaves, and as the empire expanded, so too did the reliance on enslaved people for agricultural and industrial production. This system, while profitable in the short term, created an unsustainable economy. As land became more concentrated in the hands of a few elite families, small farmers, the backbone of Rome's economy, found themselves pushed out of business. The middle class, once vital for Rome's political and economic stability, began to disappear. So, as Rome's empire expanded, its economic system began to show the first signs of strain. But it was the next phase, the rise of the Roman Empire, that would set the stage for its financial disaster. The rise of the empire, expansion, and early economic success. The Roman Empire officially began in 27 BC, when Augustus, formerly Octavian, became the first emperor. Under Augustus, Rome enjoyed a period of relative peace known as the Pax Romana, or Roman peace. This allowed the empire to focus on expanding its infrastructure, trade, and military power. During this time, Rome built an extensive network of roads, aqueducts, and cities, which facilitated trade and cultural exchange. The empire's economy boomed, and wealth flowed into Rome from every corner of the known world. The Roman legions were victorious, and their spoils helped fuel a thriving economy. Roman currency, including gold coins known as aurei, became a symbol of Rome's power. The Roman Empire's financial systems were sophisticated for their time, with a banking system that included state-sponsored moneylenders and private banks that dealt in loans and credit. Rome's greatest achievement during this period was the creation of a vast and highly organized taxation system. The empire's central government taxed everything: land, goods, income, even the personal property of its citizens. These taxes were used to fund the military, public works, and imperial luxuries. Rome's urban economy was robust, with artisans, merchants, and slaves contributing to a growing market economy. But as Rome's power grew, so too did the demands placed on its economic system. The need to maintain a standing army manage far-reaching provinces, and keep the elite in power meant that the government had to continually extract more wealth from its citizens and provinces. This laid the groundwork for the eventual economic crisis that would sweep the empire. The breaking point: how economic mismanagement destroyed Rome. As we move into the 3rd century AD, the Roman Empire found itself at a crossroads. The costs of maintaining the empire's vast borders, military campaigns, and lavish lifestyles for the elite were becoming unsustainable. Taxes were raised, inflation began to spiral out of control, and Rome's once thriving economy began to crack. One of the most significant blows came in the form of currency debasement. To fund the military and infrastructure, emperors began reducing the silver content in Roman coins, creating more money without the equivalent value. This practice, which began under Emperor Nero, led to hyperinflation, the very same economic disease that has brought down countless civilizations throughout history. At the same time, the Roman economy became increasingly dependent on imports. As Rome expanded, it became more reliant on provinces like Egypt for grain and North Africa for olive oil. This created a system where Rome's economy was no longer self-sufficient. The empire had to keep its borders secure from invading forces and maintain the flow of goods from distant lands, which drained resources. The military, once the backbone of the empire, also became a drain on resources. The Roman legions were constantly engaged in wars along the empire's borders, against barbarian tribes, Persian forces, and others. The cost of these wars was astronomical, and as the empire stretched its resources thin, it became harder to defend against external threats. Meanwhile, the elite classes in Rome grew wealthier, but the common people were increasingly burdened by taxes and military conscription. Political instability was another critical factor in Rome's economic downfall. As emperors were overthrown and replaced in quick succession, it became difficult to maintain any long-term economic strategy. In the 3rd century, the empire saw a series of short-lived emperors, many of whom were more interested in their own power than in the empire's welfare. The constant political upheaval led to poor economic planning and even worse execution. The fallout: what happened after Rome's collapse? By the time the Western Roman Empire finally fell in 476 AD, the economic damage was done. The empire had been reduced to a shell of its former self, and it couldn't recover. The once great cities of Rome and other imperial capitals became decayed and impoverished. Trade routes collapsed, inflation skyrocketed, and the population of the empire dwindled. The aftermath of Rome's fall wasn't just the loss of military power. It was an economic collapse that had devastating effects on the people of the empire. Once mighty cities became shadows of themselves, unable to sustain their populations or recover their former wealth. The Dark Ages that followed would see Europe struggle to regain the economic stability that had once made Rome so great. Modern parallels: economic mismanagement in today's world. As we look at the fall of the Roman Empire, it's impossible not to see parallels with modern economies. In today's world, we see rising national debts, inflation, income inequality, and currency debasement, all issues that were at the heart of Rome's collapse. Take, for example, the modern United States, which has a debt exceeding $30 trillion. Like Rome, the U.S. relies on printing money to finance its military, social programs, and public services. The question remains: how long can this go on before it leads to economic instability? Just like Rome, modern economies are built on unsustainable practices, and we are beginning to see the consequences. We also face the same issue of income inequality that plagued Rome. In ancient Rome, the rich grew wealthier as the poor became more destitute. Today, the richest 1% control a disproportionate share of wealth, leaving the middle class struggling to keep up. This inequality is creating social unrest and threatening the stability of modern economies, just as it did in the Roman Empire. 3 key takeaways. 1. Economic mismanagement has long-lasting effects. Rome's collapse wasn't just due to military failure or external pressures. It was fundamentally an economic issue. Mismanagement of resources, currency debasement, and the creation of unsustainable systems were central to Rome's downfall. 2. Sustainability is key to economic stability. Rome's reliance on conquest and debt led to its downfall. Today, we must focus on building economies that are sustainable and self-sufficient, rather than relying on debt and endless expansion. 3. The past teaches us. Important lessons. Rome's fall is a cautionary tale. Modern societies must learn from history and avoid the same economic mistakes that led to the demise of one of the greatest empires the world has ever known. A warning for the future. The fall of the Roman Empire serves as a stark reminder of the dangers of economic mismanagement. The empire didn't just collapse because of external forces. It fell because of internal economic decisions that proved unsustainable in the long run. As we face similar challenges in today's world, we must take heed of these lessons. Are we repeating Rome's mistakes? The future is in our hands. Will we learn from the past, or will we allow history to repeat itself? If you found this video thought-provoking, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more deep dives into history's most pivotal moments. Let's explore the hidden forces that shape our world together. What's your take on the economic mismanagement of ancient Rome? Share your thoughts below. We'd love to hear from you.